guys, welcome to this month's garden tour. It is actually October, so I am so excited to do a walkthrough. The leaves have been changing so quickly here. I live in Maine. I am a gardening enthusiast. If you are new here, my name is Kate. Welcome. If you've seen my videos before, welcome back. This has got to be one of my favorite seasons. Actually, every season, I think I say that, but really fall, it's just cozy and you just get all bundled up as the cold starts to set in. And it's actually one of my busiest seasons where I have to work so quickly to put my garden to bed, do a lot of cleanup, and then also plant a lot of bulbs. So each year I seem to outdo myself more and more. And this year I planted 1,100 bulbs, mostly tulips. I think about 1,000 tulips. So stay tuned, that video should be coming out. I'm still editing it in a few more weeks, and then my video just came out about laying some more gravel to finish the English garden, or my inspired English cottage garden, out to the side of my house. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. It's just a fun video showing or sharing how I am slowly turning my plot into the English garden of my dreams, little by little. I think I said before, I'm not a professional. This is just my hobby, and just wanted to share out with you all. So I'm going to stop blabbing and show you what the garden is looking like so far. Before I do that, one more caveat. I have been doing monthly garden tours since June of this year. And if you haven't seen those, I highly recommend to go check those out, because my garden has changed pretty dramatically over the last few months. Maine here, we're zone 5B, or at least I'm zone 5B in Maine. The weather can just have your garden change so quickly. So check that out. Check those out if you haven't. So I have a playlist dedicated to monthly garden tours. Oh no, I'm spilling coffee all over me. I do that all the time, and I'm usually wearing white when I do. That's okay. It means we're living. And I also do weekly garden vlogs. Those tend to be delayed by just a few weeks because they take me a little bit longer to edit and put together, whereas the garden tours is just me walking through. So without further ado, let's go check it out and see what we got going on. Okay, so I figured I'd start at the front steps. Don't mind the boxes there. I'm getting ready to put those out for recycling. You'll notice on the left-hand side some hostas. I think those are fire and ice hostas. I still have to cut those back. Believe it or not, there is just never-ending fall cleanup to do, and I'm scrambling pretty much after work most days, and then on the weekends to do what I can before the sun sets. Most of the time I'm only able to get done about half an hour, maybe an hour. It's usually half an hour after work these past couple of weeks that I can squeeze in before the sun sets, because it is changing so quickly. Here it gets really dark fast. Hopefully with the clocks turning back here soon, that will help a little bit, but we're doing what we can, right folks? Okay, so I picked up some really cool pumpkins. In a recent vlog, I shared that at a local farm in Kennebunk called Snug Harbor. They had some really cool, like, warty ones, and just some really pretty pink ones. The little orange ones are ones that I grew this year. I only grew mini pumpkins. They were easier for me to manage this year while my husband and I finished laying the gravel for the back bed. Whereas the year prior, I grew some really big pumpkins and they just took over the entire garden. So, and you'll see just carved some pumpkins. That was a lot of fun. And those corn stalks, they're looking a little weathered because we have been having lots of rain, but I actually cut those from my garden. I grew corn this year for the first time and wanted to save those stalks for some decorating. So that's the front of the house. I have to get some batteries for those little lanterns, but it looks really cool. There's another hosta right there, lilac tree, and then my beautiful hydrangea tree. So this hydrangea tree, I'm gonna try, I think, and save the blooms. I did this last year to make a wreath. So worked really well for me last year, but your hydrangeas, how you cut them is how they're gonna stay the color. So just cut at what point you want them to be. So if I may cut a few right now. I think this is a limelight hydrangea tree. But if I want to keep this color right now, I'm going to cut it and put it in just a little bit amount of water. That way, as it's drying, it's still able to save the color in the leaves. At least or the petals. At least that's what worked for me last year. If there's a different method you guys use, drop it down in the comments below for others to read, share, and try. But that's worked for me. And apologies if it's a little loud. I do live off of a busy city street. But it's looking pretty glorious. And if you've seen my other monthly garden tours, I think the first one I did June, you'll see how it was blooming so bright and white. And it's changed to this beautiful pinky fall color. And I love autumn. I love it so much. And this gravel walkway is actually new as of this year. This was all grass here. Even this fence is new too. So this past April, worked on creating that entire bed there and putting that fence in and putting in this gravel walkway. I'll also have popped in the description box below this fence I got from Wayfair. If you're curious and want something, it's actually extremely sturdy and has some, oh gosh, I don't know the technical term, but metal rebar. Oh, somebody's getting wood. My neighbor's getting wood delivered over there. If you hear the clanking over there. So if you are curious about the fence that I have here, the little picket fence, I'll have that dropped in the description bar below if you want to snag that up. It's very sturdy. We were looking to get something that will withstand our hardy Maine winters. So this is not going anywhere. There's actually metal piping or a metal bar that we hammered down into this to keep it sturdy. So this should withhold the feet of snow that accumulates here. But you know, it's going to be a good test. So I'll be able to show in my December, January, February garden tours how it's holding up, if we can even see it, because usually we get several feet of snow that's about as tall as me. I'm about 5 feet tall on a good day. So but you'll see I have some roses to cut back. I actually moved those. They were flanking the porch here, but I moved them here. They were really pretty and fun. And then asters, I actually planted some pincushion flowers here this year. Oh, there's still a little bumblebee. Oh, where is he? Can I see him on the, there he is. He looks a little, oh, there's 3 of them. Are those, I don't know, they look really wet. Oh, there's 4 or 5. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. Wow. Well, I'm glad I didn't cut it back yet. There's blooms here, so I just wanted to leave it for the pollinators, and I'm glad I did. But I actually planted a pincushion flower here, and then this aster popped right up, so I don't know what happened there. Some more roses. This one these two were a part of one rose bush that I actually divided this spring, and I was really nervous that this one on the left wouldn't survive, but it is doing fantastic, so really happy there. And then as we go down the fence, there's some foxgloves that I started from seed, some snapdragons, all along the fence here. That is on my list to cut back here over the next few weeks. And here is probably one of my most favorite views in the garden. I don't think I've shared yet in this tour, but my garden here is about 450 square feet, I think, on a good day. Our whole plot is about 0.25 acres. So I'm working on, all of this is new as of 2 years ago. I just started with one raised bed back in the corner over there, and it's I feel like slowly grown, but then some of my neighbors say, oh, it looks like it happened overnight, but I think sometimes when you're doing it yourself, it feels like it may take a little bit longer. But there are some new additions which you'll see peeking out, mainly the greenhouse, which I will have a vlog pop up here in the next week or two showing that whole installation process. That is also from Wayfair, and I'll have that below. But isn't that so pretty? And then there's lots of leaves that still have yet to drop. So it is going to be a very busy couple of weeks when they do. And you'll notice some incredible hydrangeas that are, to me, still pretty, changing in the fall color. The roses, these are James Galloway David Austin roses. They have a beautiful light, I'll say older fragrance. They're not extremely scented, but they have this light scent that when you do walk by, it's really pretty. And everything you see here is now going into its third year next year. So next year, the roses will be entirely over the top of this arbor. So we're almost there, and the way that I tie these back is just with some little Velcro tape, and I can actually take those off and remove them and reuse them as I'm training it as I go. But I just have a little roll of Velcro training tape that I use. I think I'll drop that down below too in the description box. And then this is a pink mink clematis. It was so beautiful this summer. It still does look beautiful, even just with the green foliage. And this, I think it's called an obelisk. This would be considered an obelisk. That's from Gardener Supply. It's about 6 feet tall. But I've been working on trying to add some character to this garden, so putting down some little brick edging and trying to add a little bit of formality too with the cottage feel. So like with the boxwoods, I'm trying to grow a little mini hedge. And I haven't yet trimmed those. I think I will next year, but it's too late for me to try, I believe, to trim them, as we could get frost, which would essentially burn or damage those tips. So I'm just going to let them be for next year and then trim off any little bits, tiny little bits, early next spring. Here's another incredible hydrangea, some irises, and you'll see those cosmos popping up too. Okay. And then here, this is fun. This is actually a Spanish lavender that I have potted up in a standard or tree form. So I have two different types of lavender. I'll show you the other one. The other one is an English lavender. That one blooms, it's over there in that little pot. But the English lavender tends to bloom more for me than the Spanish lavender, but I do like the scent of it when it does bloom and the structure. So that's fun. Okay, all these leaves essentially just dropped last night. We had a lot of rain. Okay, yes, so here's the English lavender. It's called Sweet Romance from Proven Winners. And this is hardy zone 5 through 9, I believe. Let's just double check. Yep. So zones 5 through 9 to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, or it looks like a negative 29 degrees Celsius. So this I'm actually going to leave outside in the winter. It'll be fine and hardy. And lavender does have a tendency to get woody at the base, but you can just, I'm shearing it back probably a little bit more here soon. I just want to leave some of these blooms for the pollinators that I haven't or won't get to. Whoop, here's a little bee. Dahlia, one dahlia left here in pots, in a pot that I haven't taken the tubers out. Oh, I'll show you. I'd recently taken, I had a dahlia in another pot over here, and I just harvested. Was it harvested? I just took up the whole, oh gosh, tubers. I planted, I believe it was just one tuber, and like 20 came out of the pot. So next spring, early spring, I'll be dividing those. So I'm going to store them through the winter in my basement and then dividing them early next spring, probably giving away most of them. And all of these beds, you guys, I have just finished turning over the soil, adding some compost in, and then planted 1,000 tulips divided by all of these. Because my goal is for next year to sell them in a little mini flower stand. Look at all these. It looks really pretty. And actually, what I do here, I actually like to save these leaves and keep them on the beds for a layer of mulch or protection. It just helps to insulate the plants that you do have, but also add in some of that organic material that the soil needs and uses. You'll see I still have some super petunias that are peeking out. These are the last remaining ones that I hadn't gotten to, and Kate, who I hope is watching, she actually gave me a great tip where there was another channel called Petals and Metals, I believe, and she gave some great advice for overwintering a couple of different plants that would normally be considered annuals in my zone, zone 5B, where I'm going to prune or shear all of this back and then dig up the plant and overwinter it inside. Now, the thing for me is I don't really have a lot of space inside my house or a great setup for plants, inside house plants. So I'm going to have to be a little bit creative. And I do have a couple of crazy cats that they like to get into trouble. So I'm going to have to make sure I have them in a spot where my cats can't get to them inside, and also where I can have some lights on them or a window with full sun. I don't have a whole lot of full sun that comes through my windows, but we're going to give it a whirl. We're going to give it a try. I'm a big proponent of trying before you give in the towel, or hand in the towel, throw in the towel before you throw in the towel. So Kate, thank you so much for that tip. I'm going to try that and see if I can save a few of them through the winter and then plant next spring. So wish me luck on that. And then more deadheading to do. This little guy is a little pugster butterfly bush, really pretty lavender blooms. You'll see I have a couple of more irises where I'm going to see if there's a seed head there. And then we just have a couple more. Why is this name is blanking on me? Oh, Where is the little tag? Oh, elderberry, that's right. Laced up elderberry. I just liked the dark foliage, so I'm going to try and add a little bit more of some darker contrasting foliage to my garden next year. And then you'll see a blue lace cap hydrangea here, which was actually moved from the front of the house last year, or early this spring, or maybe it was last fall. Anywho, and then this one is fun. This is a Hinoki cypress cordalo. So sometimes with evergreens, and I read with this one too, it's normal for it to shed a lot of its needles. So at first it may look like it's dead, but it's had a lot of water, so it's hydrated. But it can be normal, or it is normal, for these to go through a shedding process. So we'll keep an eye on it early next spring. I think I will be creating a video here soon, or at least add it into one of my upcoming vlogs, about how I winterize my plants for winter. So there's a couple of things that I do to prep to make sure that I give them the best chance to prevent winter burn, and help give them a good chance of starting out strong early in the spring. So I'll review that in an upcoming vlog. I think just to symbolize it, I think just to quickly share, basically my number one tip is hydration. So if you make sure that, especially your evergreens, are well hydrated before the frost hits, that is a great way to set them up for success in early spring and help prevent winter burn. It's kind of like with us, with humans. So if we stay hydrated, our skin is less likely to be friable or tear. Same thing with your plants. Just make sure that they are well hydrated, even more than you think, before the frost hits. So that's a good tip for you there. And then this is a really cool weeping spruce, Norway Froberg spruce. Same thing, I'll be making sure that I hydrate this little guy very well too. Lots of fun. And then this is a wisteria that I am training and pruning into a tree form. So this is an American wisteria. They have beautiful purple blooms on them, but you do have to be careful with wisteria that if you're hoping to have it grow in its natural form, which is a vine, that over the years this wisteria will get very, I'll say, it can be kind of aggressive, but also you need to make sure you have a sturdy enough frame to hold it, because the actual vine itself turns into a thick, woody vine. So just make sure, if you do plan to have it climb up over a wall or a fence or an arbor, that it's sturdy enough to withstand the power of this plant. So I'm going to keep this one in a pot and just keep transplanting it into a bigger pot over the years, because I really don't have a spot that I can keep up with and make sure that it doesn't creep over to my neighbor's side or cause damage. Thought about, wouldn't that be so pretty if I had it trained around the greenhouse, but I think just the sheer weight would probably crush the greenhouse. So there's that. Okay, let's get my coffee. Oh, I haven't shared my cute little boots, my little dog boots. Maybe I'll have those linked below if anybody's looking for some cute boots that are comfy and easy to put on. Okay. Oh, and also I didn't point out, but I do have some salvia in this bed that very early on this year I had some trouble with some Japanese beetles that just came in and almost, I'd say, decimated these plants pretty quickly. It seemed to appear overnight or happen overnight. However, these are extremely hardy plants, so don't fret, especially if they were looking like this for most of the year, because if you look down at the base, that's all new growth from this plant. So these are extremely hardy. So I'm just gonna go through and cut these all back. So in my November garden tour, you're gonna see hopefully all of this buttoned up. I'm still gonna have the leaf here as a mulch, but we're gonna have this tackled. So don't worry if things aren't looking that great. I think we're all right there with you. At least I am. But, yay! So here she is in all her fall glory. You may be wondering why I have that frost guard over my beds and also this wire fencing. This is all, I guess maybe it's my two-step plan to help deter from the squirrels before the frost. So we have a couple of very determined squirrels that like to, I don't know if they just watch me and plot up in the trees above me when they're gonna steal or eat the tulips after I've planted them, but I think that they watch me, and then as soon as I'm done, they scramble out the next morning and have a feast. So I was hoping to eliminate that as best I can, especially where I am trying to sell some tulips next year. That's why I have the fencing here and also some of the frost guard just for right now. And so far, it's been working. You'll see I have some little chicken wire saved here that I've put on top, just held down by some rocks to keep it in place when we have a lot of wind. But it's working so far, and I just reuse these same pieces year after year. So I just measured and cut and keep them stored in our basement and haul them up every spring and every fall. So yeah, so I think I mentioned I'll have probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see my video about planting 1,100 bulbs, which took me, I want to say, over a week in total, or yes, probably about over a week in total, because I could only tackle so much either after work or on the weekends. And it's just me, just little old me. And this is the beautiful greenhouse. You'll see some pots in there that I've already potted up with some tulips. And this is about 8 by 8 in size. And we made a wooden base for it to screw it in so it wouldn't go flying away. I would consider this a gazebo style. And we just finished laying the gravel a few weeks ago. Oh, here we go. Close this. So this is, I think, now in its second week. Lose track of time. But it is cute little gazebo greenhouse. You'll see me probably next month decorate this with some Christmas lights. I'm gonna try and make it look all pretty. Oh dear, look at all the leaves. But it's a great size for a small garden. There we go. So I wanted to get a greenhouse that was a little bit sturdier, that would stick around for a couple of years, that would be less prone to wearing and tearing, B, something that could withstand our winters. And our snow sticks around and it actually accumulates. So sometimes the snow bakes get as tall as me, and I needed something that that was reinforced pretty well, and that had a great design that could really keep up with our winters and would hopefully stick around for years to come. So it was a little bit on the pricier end, more than I was originally hoping to spend, but after putting it together, and it's survived already a couple of really tough rainstorms and windstorms in the last week or two, so I'm really encouraged by that. Anyway, so if you are looking for a good greenhouse option that is sturdier, I'm going to keep reporting though on it to see how it holds up in the winter. But if you are curious and this is something that piques your interest, and maybe you're thinking, oh, this would be a great size for my small garden, or maybe even I could see this with like a little bistro set of chairs and table. So it's a little less than 8 by 8, I think 7.5 by 8 in dimensions. I think 7.5 feet wide by 8 feet tall, something like that. So that's the greenhouse. I know I went on a tangent on that, but check out the video to see the process. It wasn't easy, I'll say that. You definitely need 2 people to put it together. Anyway, so this is the greenhouse. Hopefully when you see it during the next garden tour, she's gonna be lit up in all kinds of Christmas lights, and I hope to get like a little wreath. Maybe I'll make a wreath to put on the front door. What do you guys think? Oh gosh, I'm clapping right into my mic. Anyway, so I hope to make a wreath to put on the front door here, dress it up, and do something that is a little bit more Christmassy. So, all right, enough of my blabbing. Let's come out over here. That tree is gonna have to drop all of its leaves here soon. Okay. So, right. The cosmos, those were actually a fun surprise. They self-seeded themselves from the year prior. Dahlia, that's here. I'm going to save those tubers here soon. All of these tulips are put to bed. Let me grab my coffee. Okay. And these are sprinter boxwoods, if you're wondering. Also got those from Proven Winners. In that basket is actually a incredible hydrangea that I've already cut back, and I will be getting that ready here soon for the winter. Stay tuned on that one. Okay. Ooh, actually, let me show you the back. Oh, and this was actually the pot that had the dahlias in it. So when I took that out, my neighbor actually across the street asked me if I wanted to dig up a few plants, and they just had this Japanese maple growing in their backyard. So I said absolutely. I was actually looking to get a Japanese maple, but those aren't cheap either. But I ended up potting it up, and I still have a little bit of limbing up to do. I've done a little bit from the bottom. I think it may have a little bit of powdery mildew, but it'll be fine. And I did water in really well, so I think it'll be fine. And then I just top dressed it with some of my gravel here. 2 reasons. Top dressing helps to insulate the plants a little bit better, especially in some of the cooler climates. So it helps to retain some of that. So top dressing with mulch, or I guess this is rock mulch, but crushed stone helps to add a level of temperature regulation for the plant, and also keep squirrels from, or help deter them from digging around. So that has been really helpful for me, and something that I find really useful. But this will be so pretty. Hopefully it just grows and grows and grows. I know eventually I will need a bigger pot, but it's perfect for now. Okay. Okay. So you may be wondering if you saw my last vlogs. Oh, did she get to this back part yet? No, we did not. So this whole strip, my husband and I this will be our big project for next year. So hopefully this will all be gravel here next year and will just look a lot different, but that's gonna have to wait. And I did just use the hose yesterday and I need to put that away neatly, but I'll be transparent. I don't typically do that always. I need one of those hose links. Those look really cool. Retractable hoses. Maybe next year. So anyway, whoop. Let's get out of this part. It does look pretty with the leaves though. So here we go. Zinnias are still holding strong. So I'm gonna wait till the very last moment to take these out because they're just beautiful. These actually are seeds that I saved from zinnias last year. So do we have any expired ones where I could show you? Oh, here we go. So what I did last year is when they're dry, cut the little heads that look like this off. And what you do is you'll be able to pull some of these here. Oh, here we go. So each petal will have like a little seed attached to it. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's best when they're dry to save these. Keep note of the color too if you want. That's a good tip. But I kind of just went hog wild and saved a whole bunch. I still have quite a few, but just pull out the petals when they're dry and you'll have a little seed that you can save for next year. Oh, my neighbor has a few little kids and I'm always finding little toys, so let's try and throw it over. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh yeah, there's a few. But it's just a nice little pop of color and they're still holding strong. Okay, didn't quite get to finishing the wall of Arbovita. The goal was to move it across here, and I dipped into my budget with the greenhouse. I think those are gonna have to wait for next year. Gosh, that's embarrassing. I still have that bag of mulch that I need to put back, but I was working on cleaning that back bed just a few weeks ago actually. But these Arbovita I planted last fall, and they haven't grown so much in height, but they have fluffed out in the bottom. Oh, here we go. And then we just finished digging all of this out and laying all of this gravel. And you'll see we did put down some landscape fabric just to help with the weed suppression. We're also hoping to clean up underneath the patio, but also put up some skirting around this porch too, just so it looks a lot nicer. You know what? Let's just show it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because we are honest and transparent here. Whoa, look at that. These hostas. Yikes. I think they'll be fine. I just have to prune them back. They don't look so, especially that one in the pot that my neighbor gave me. So I'm going to trim that. It already came with the pot broken. I did not do that. But I also have not pruned it, so I'll have to cut that back. All right, so I did try to work on, it may not look like it, clean up some of these weeds. But I did move. I had a hibiscus that was in front of the house that did not do anything this year. It almost seemed like it had rotted out. It just wasn't getting full sun where it was. So I moved it right there in the back. That is my bleeding heart. And then these are a couple of Heucherella. It could be, am I butchering that? Anyway, they have a beautiful deep color foliage with some pink blooms that look really pretty in the spring. And then my neighbor just gave me some holly, so I'll have to plant these here any day now this week. They've been getting rain, so they're fine now. I moved a couple of daisies and some lilies dotted around back here. So this is a work in progress. My neighbor seems to think that some of our blue spruces are diseased and may need to come out in the next few years. So like over here, they're not looking so great. So I don't know there, guys, but back here is going to be the focus for next year, because we pretty much finished laying the bones for the front and side garden. Oof. But if you ignore the tarp there that needs to go on our patio furniture, you can see the outline of the gravel and hopefully envision what I'm trying to see. So yes, so under the patio will be cleaned, under the porch I should say. Probably have to climb under there and get that stuff. And then the skirting. This I feel like looks really good. I do have to drain the fountain for this winter, but the rhododendron back there looks great. I did just plant that peony. It doesn't look so great now, but it's going to be fine. And I'll have to cut back these other peonies too. And that's a tall phlox. It's really pretty in the spring, or summer rather. Has like a bright purple color. It's called Fashionably Early Flamingo. That's a beautiful bright pink azalea, and then a giant arbovita. So it is slowly coming together. Really happy with it so far. Looks like the fog is starting to roll in. I thought it'd be nice to finish up back in the front on the side garden. So here pretty soon the sun is actually going to set, and I don't know how well you can see, but that is all fog. It's been pretty foggy here today actually. You'll see here, this is my most recent fall plantings. I did in a recent video, I took out my super petunias and then planted up with some fall mums. And my foxglove is still looking great over here. The amaranth that's dangling over the side there. You'll see those 3 bushes off to the side. Those are lilac bushes that are starting to change and lose their leaves. For the most part, these mums, they are holding up really nicely and have really filled out. Only one down here on the side did not fare well. So I think out of 8 mums, only 1 didn't really perform that well. So I think that's pretty good. You'll see I still have some, here's the foxgloves. Aren't they so pretty? And then still some dahlias left. So as soon as we get a frost, these won't look as pretty. So I'm kind of waiting until the last moment to dig them up and save the tubers. And then still have some snapdragons. And that is a lily. I planted as a bulb, but it did not bloom this year. So it still looks pretty. So hoping for the best for next year. But look at this. This mum seemed to have collapsed. So these are actually annuals for us. So hopefully a few more weeks we'll enjoy them. And these foxgloves, believe it or not, I started from seed this year, early this year. It's huge. I think that just looks so pretty with the fog rolling in the back. And the greenhouse peeking out there, the little lights, and these lilacs look so pretty. And this is actually an elephant ear. I believe it's more of a tropical plant, I think zone 7 and above. So this is also not winter hardy, along with the penstemon grasses you see. But they look so beautiful here in the fall. I want to try and incorporate more grasses next year. And this is actually called a Seven Suns tree, or Temple of Bloom. And it has these beautiful white blooms in the spring and fall. Actually, I guess summer. This one's still hanging on. That, to me, it smells like vanilla. And some in the blooms turn this reddish color, which is so pretty. So hopefully in a few more years, this will get pretty tall. So I think by the next month's garden tour, these will pretty much, this is gonna look pretty bare as soon as the frost hits. So it will be quite the transformation. And then these, oh, there's a little slug there. But these I just love. These are my autumn joy sedum, my autumn joy sedum. So I just got these as little guys late last fall on clearance, actually from a local garden center. And these ones particularly over here have doubled in size. This one, not so much. I think it's because the soil is a little bit more sandier over here, so I may need to add in some more nutrients, or my thought, because they don't like a lot of moisture, we have the drain pipe right there, and the water just shoots over here, so I don't know if it's getting too much water. You'll see some of the leaves. So I'm gonna have to play around with maybe putting some more rocks here to help act as a deterrent for the rain that can just gush in a rainstorm. And then that's also another incredible hydrangea in a basket. And then this is my, prairie fire crabapple. That's just now starting to change. And these I'll leave for the wildlife to forage from. With this tree, it's actually pretty clean, so it doesn't drop a lot of, or if any, of the fruit. I'm trying to look down and I don't see any. So it's very clean. If you're looking for a crabapple tree, I highly recommend. It's been a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, there's a bat flying around. Oh my goodness, it looks so great.